Greetings, everyone, and welcome once again to Goth Tarot, a short collective reading that shows you what shadow forces may be working in your life or what issues you can look at from your shadow side that might need a little introspection. So we do this with a mere 6 cards, and we start off with telling us what your dark gift is this week from the Crow's Magic Tarot. All right. What is your dark gift this week? What insights or wisdoms do your dark philosophies give you? What revelations of life and death will you appreciate? And what darkness can you share with others? And we have the Four of Cups. Trying to get that in there. There we go. Upright. So what insights or wisdoms do you gain from a dark perspective of the Four of Cups? And it may very well be that this is the week where you find the utmost extreme impatience and or the ability to totally procrastinate without a single care for what others may say of that. Ultimately, you know it's on you to take as much time as you need to find the revelations you may be seeking. So then we move on to your dark struggles. And for that I use the Gothic Tarot. What are your dark struggles? What challenges or limitations give you insight into others' darkness? And what can you learn from the burdens or obstacles or obsessions of your own? All right, the first card is the reversed sun. And then we also have the reverse star. Now, how goth is that, truly? So I think that when you consider your own inabilities to find knowledge, to gain hope, to see hope that is there, or to keep hope alive in some form, those are challenges or limitations. And then when you think about it, what it really comes down to is a lot of those are the same kind of things that other people are also burdened with. And so when you kind of put it in that context and you realize that many people are going through the same struggles, but what our advantage is we're able to understand that. We're able to see that maybe that darkness is a limitation now, but won't always be there, because we go into the dark and then we come back out. And that may not be exactly the same way that other people deal with those limitations. So knowledge can be a blessing and a curse. And keeping hope and a sense of your destiny alive is a challenge. I think it could also be saying too that when other people try to limit your hope and to also limit the knowledge you have to work with, that maybe also too that becomes their own limitation, and that they don't understand that. It's not necessarily karmic, maybe. It just is a nature of consequence that they cast their darkness that way too. Only their orientation is towards your limitations. So these are possibly people that present these challenges to you, but you should be able to surmount them and see through that. Although the star is reversed, the idea of hope just being something you need to find is very prevalent there. So you still have to work towards the idea of hope, whether it's a dark hope or a dark or a not so dark hope. So then finally, we're going to move on to the final three cards, and for that we use the Night Sun Tarot, and that will give us the Dark Truth, the Dark Sacrifice, and the Dark Redemption. Your dark truth. What reality seems oppressive yet insightful? And it's the Hierophant. And I think this says that in this week, you're challenged because you really have to find your way towards conforming against your inner principles, against the sense of conventions you do feel, and that you're drawn to undergo others' protocols or procedures for you. So that what that means maybe is you're being forced to fit a standard. You're being forced to fit in. And this is pretty oppressive for you for this week. Yet, you need to make it insightful. You need to find where the things that enforce conventionality and societal mores may work to your advantage. Maybe just an object lesson somehow. But see what you can do with that. Because it could be that in challenging the norms, you gain insight for yourself, but you also are giving insight to others, those that are more beholden to the norms. So think about it from that perspective, maybe. And then what is the dark sacrifice this week? What sorrow will you bear, and how will it make you judge yourself? Oh, 3 weeks in a row, and we have it again. We have the moon. It's in a different position, so that's kind of interesting. It's upright. I think sometimes you bear the sorrow of being too in tune, not only with how you walk this path, but how the walking of that path informs almost everything else. The paths that walk alongside you, whether they're people in your life or people that depend on you, or whether they're people that you're able to influence. So I think keeping that in mind, you realize that perhaps it is a lonely world indeed, when you have to be a little bit more mysterious about that intuitive nature of yours, that ability to perceive what is in there in the shadows, and maybe to pull it a little bit closer to the light so that if only you can see what that is and appreciate it. The moon also tells us, I think, we need to watch out for the loose lips around us and maybe some inappropriate things happening around us. So maybe it's also possible too that that's how you're judging yourself right now. That sometimes knowing things makes you feel like you should say things. So it's a balance you have to find there with that. So then finally, what is the dark redemption this week? What is your final realization, and what will you have learned from it? And it's Major Arcana 2, the High Priestess. Upright. At the end of this week, you realize that you're the one in charge of your destiny, and you're the one in charge of how you defray all information, specifically about yourself. Having gone through the phases of the moon, you are now more intuitive, more high priestess like than ever before. But what you must realize too is that some knowledge cannot be readily shared. So this is mostly the realization that now you need to go and do that work that you need to do to make the wisdom spread and the wisdom work for you in the best way possible. There are secrets and keys that you can learn now at this time. And you just need to learn them before you can actually apply them. It's not necessarily the same thing. Sometimes we learn or gain knowledge, but it doesn't necessarily mean we're ready to work with that knowledge. So that's what we have for Goth Tarot this week. And I hope you enjoyed that. I'll see you next week.